Hi there, it's Mel from lovethisbest.com. Today I'm sharing with you my super easy way of creating 2 ingredient bagels. I did not make up this recipe, but I'm going to show you the easiest way to get these really delicious bagels. First thing you're going to want to do is clean the area that you're going to be rolling your dough. So you're going to either have to buy self-rising flour, or if you don't have any, you can really easily make your own. It's on the recipe that I have on how to make it. So I use 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon sea salt, and then 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Again, really make sure that your hands and the surface you're using is coated with your all-purpose flour. The kind that we like to use is Liberté Greek. It's plain 0% Greek yogurt. So what I wanted to show you is real time how long it takes to do the folding in process. I really like to slowly fold in the flour and I guess actually I'm folding in the yogurt into the dough or the flour, or am I folding the flour into the yogurt? I'm not sure. Either way, you can see I just like to do it pretty slowly. You'll notice that I'm really avoiding using my hands at this point, not because I'm a little bit OCD and I hate having things on my hands and I wash my hands 1,000 times a day. This is because I'm really trying to keep the yogurt really cold. I don't want the heat of my hands to mess with the dough at this point. Something that I'll mention as well is before I start making the dough, I actually put the mixing bowl in the fridge for at least 10 minutes so that it chills. I actually also include the dry ingredients, so I'll add the self-rising flour into the mixing bowl so everything gets really chilled. So that way when I'm at this process, everything has a little bit more of an opportunity to stay cold. So we're closing in on about the 2-minute mark for folding in your dough. This could be done faster, but this is kind of the way that I like to do it. So now for the next couple of seconds in the video, I'm going to super speed up the last minute of folding in the dough for the flour. I'm going to do some folding. So cutting back into about half speed here, I like to quarter the dough and just to keep it so that I can make 4 bagels. That way it's 4 points per bagel. You can see it's a little bit gummy at the beginning, but after you work it a little bit, it becomes more rounded and a little bit more silky, the dough. So I just like to work it with my hands, get it into the nice circular shape. You don't want it to be super smooth at this point, but also not as gummy as it looked in when you first start working the dough. The next step is to take the dough and actually put it in your fridge and keep it chilling for about 30 minutes. You want it nice and cold before you start to create your bagels. While that's happening, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Grab your parchment paper as well. I use parchment paper because you can see my pan is old, maybe from 1920, and it doesn't really use nonstick as well anymore. So it's up to you. Little nonstick spray or parchment paper will do the trick. The toppings that I'm choosing today is everything bagel as well as Tex-Mex, and we have to use this little yellow thing. We call it the tickler in this house. I don't know what it actually is called, but the purpose of it is to take the egg white and use it when we use it to create the egg wash on top of the bagels. So I measured out 1 tablespoon of Tex-Mex as well as the everything bagel spice. It works out to be about 1/4 per bagel because I do actually use these tablespoons for 8 bagels altogether. I'm showing you 4, but I usually do a double batch, so 8 comes out. So this is the actual time it takes to work the dough. As you can see, it starts out very shaggy, which in the bread world kind of translates to tacky, I guess. Anyways, I find this step in the process to be the most fun. It's almost a creative outlet in a way. The dough does have a bit of a Play-Doh like slash plasticine mixed feeling to it. So if you're feeling like a little bit stressed, you can totally take it out on the dough. If you have kids, this is also a great time to get them involved. The whole process is meant to be messy, so as long as you really flour their hands up, you should be okay with getting them clean. When you're getting ready to close the bagel shape, I just kind of pinch and roll. Is that a thing? A pinch and roll technique? I think maybe. So you can see I'm just trying to start closing it. I try to make sure it's symmetrical all the way around, and then I just pinch it and work the dough together. As it bakes, I find that it does hold nicely, especially with the egg wash. Um, but again, I'm not a bagel perfectionist or anything, so it's up to you. Kind of pinch it, tuck it in, and roll it, and just pray that it sticks together. Especially if it's your first batch, like don't be too particular about the way that it turns out. So again, here's some shaggy dough. I'm gonna work it with my hands first. Make sure, again, everything is super covered in flour. Then you'll see this super professional technique of pinch, pinch, roll, roll. Super professional. You can see it on all the baking channels. And I think they stole it from me, actually. So I'm not exactly sure what this technique is called. Someone, I was talking about it and we don't know. It's called making 2-ingredient dough. So again, rolling it, and then making sure it's symmetrical along when it's straight like that, because when you go to bake it, if some parts are a little bit more dense than the others, they might not cook properly. So again, you're going to shape it together. Use the pinch and roll kind of technique when you're closing the bagel, and that way it will hold its shape, hopefully. And the more bagels you make, the better you will get at rolling out the dough and kind of locking it in. You can see here that the shag has disappeared, and in its place we have a much smoother looking dough. So again, that's the consistency that you want. Not super perfect. You can see it's not completely flat, but as long as it's all kind of the same shape around the outside, it is a workable dough. So if there's a part you don't like, just take a couple seconds and fix it up like you see here. I'm going to speed up the next two. So now that it's in super speedy mode, I'm wondering if you pronounce it bagel or bagel. My husband always makes fun of me when I say bagel, but that is how we say it. How do you say it? Is it another way? All right, so now we have 4 bagels shaped and ready to egg wash. Be generous with the egg wash because it will make your bagels brown up and look super pro and help your toppings to stick. I choose just the egg white because it's 0 points and it's unnecessary, I think, to have the yellow part for this point in the bagel seasoning process. So feel free to just wash away and make sure that all the spots are covered, even on the inside. That way they will look really nice, and it gives it a nice crisp outside, similar to a regular consistency of a bagel. Nice and crispy on the outside. These ones were baking for 25 minutes. No need to flip or rotate or any of that. They come out fine. These are 4 points each on Weight Watchers green plan. Not 100% sure what they are on purple and blue, but my guess would be that they're actually less. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get ready to cut these. Okay, so you can see the consistency. It looks just like a bagel. When you do cut into them, you'll find that the inside has a bit of a gummy texture. Like I find it's a bit gummy compared to a regular bagel recipe. But if you let it sit for like 10 minutes, I just took these out, so they're still pretty hot. They definitely still have like that gummy texture, but once you take a look, you'll see they look very similar to a regular bagel. See the steam? It's gonna be so good. So I like to cut them when they're pretty warm. And then I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna dress my bagel with today. All right, I'm gonna show you how I like to dress my bagel. Well, I have lots of ways, but here's today's. You can see on the bottom, there's 1 tablespoon of the roasted red pepper cashew dip. You can have 2 tablespoons for 1 point, I think, but I think 1 is probably gonna be enough. And then I have pickled red onion. You can find that recipe on lovedisbest.com. Just type in pickled onions in the search bar. And then red peppers, cucumber, and some spinach today. I'm trying to improve my iron levels, so I'm trying to add spinach in wherever I can. And that is it. Looks good, right? Tomorrow morning I'll probably have an egg on mine, kind of like egg, maybe some light mayonnaise tastes good on it too. So let's see if I can get a bite that's not too messy. So good. Thanks for watching.